She was bright, ambitious, and just 17 years old. A weekend college tour in Puebla was supposed to be her first step toward a future in medicine. Instead, it became the beginning of a 13-year nightmare, one that would only break when a construction worker uncovered something buried beneath a university courtyard. What he found would horrify investigators, haunt the city, and reveal a secret no one could have imagined. If you're drawn to chilling true stories that unfold piece by piece, because this one will keep you up long after it ends. Introduction. On May 22, 1994, a girl named Marisol Reyes traveled from her small hometown in Oaxaca to the state of Puebla to attend an open house at the prestigious University of Puebla de Oriente. She was a top student, a scholarship finalist, and excited to become the first in her family to go to college. She never made it home. What followed was more than a disappearance. It was silence, indifference, and eventually, a hidden truth buried just beneath the place she had once dreamed of calling home. The day Marisol disappeared. It was a warm Sunday afternoon. Marisol had taken the 7 a.m. bus with her cousin Luz to Puebla, planning to tour the campus, meet professors, and attend a scholarship briefing. They took photos at the front gates, smiled, laughed. At 12:45 p.m., Luz said Marisol told her she wanted to check out the science wing alone, just a quick walk, before they met back at the fountain near the entrance. She never showed up. The initial search. At first, Luz assumed Marisol had gotten lost. She checked the main hall, the restrooms, the food stands, even the bookstore. By 2:15 p.m., panic set in. Campus security joined the search. By 4 p.m., the police were involved. Witnesses remembered seeing Marisol walking toward the northern courtyard near a construction zone where the university was expanding its chemistry lab. But after that, the trail went cold. No screams, no dropped belongings, no surveillance footage. She had simply vanished. Family desperation. Marisol's parents were devastated. Her father, Jorge Reyes, was a factory worker. Her mother, Leticia, worked at a small market stall. They filed every missing person report they could. They printed flyers, appealed to media, begged the university for help. But weeks passed. And then months. The university distanced itself, claiming no responsibility. Authorities offered few updates. Some even speculated Marisol had run away, despite all evidence to the contrary. The case grows cold. By 1996, Marisol's case had faded from headlines. Her family refused to let her go. They traveled to Puebla monthly, retracing her steps. They consulted private investigators, a psychic, anyone who would listen. But year after year, nothing surfaced. Until 2007. A dig site and a discovery. It was late July 2007. A construction crew was renovating an old stone courtyard behind the chemistry wing, now long finished. One worker, Jose Cabrera, was breaking ground to lay pipe when he struck something odd. It wasn't rock, it was hollow. He called over his supervisor. Together they unearthed an old steel locker, partially rusted and caked with dirt. Inside was a torn canvas backpack, a decaying notebook, and a white plastic ID badge. It read, Marisol Reyes, guest visitor, May 1994. The locker that broke the silence. When the police were called to the university construction site, the mood shifted from routine to alarm. Forensic teams arrived within hours. Inside the steel locker they found a notebook, water damaged but still legible in parts, a cracked student visitor badge, 3 strands of long dark hair, and beneath it all, bones. They weren't complete, just a partial skeleton curled into itself. But it was enough. The DNA test. It took 2 weeks for DNA comparison results to come back. The Reyes family waited by the phone every day, not knowing whether to hope for confirmation or denial. Then the call came. The remains were confirmed to be Marisol's. Her mother collapsed. Her father, Jorge, simply whispered, "She never left the school." The notebook investigators studied the damaged notebook closely. The last entry, dated May 22, 1994, the day she vanished, read, "Excited to meet Dr. L. Said he would show me the old lab. Hope he's as nice as Lus said." This was the first mention of a Dr. L, and it changed everything. Police combed university employment records from that year. Only one professor in the science department had a last name beginning with L. His name, Dr. Lorenzo Gama. Who was Dr. Gama? At the time, Dr. Gama was a tenured chemistry professor known for his strict discipline and solitary habits. He left the university just 6 months after Marisol's disappearance. Official reason: personal relocation to the United States. No accusations, no warnings, just gone. But new reports found that Dr. Gama had been the faculty supervisor overseeing the courtyard construction site at the time of her disappearance, the exact area where her remains were found. The retired worker speaks. An old maintenance man named Benito Castillo came forward after hearing about the discovery. He had worked under Dr. Gama in 1994. He was always working late, always alone in that north wing. Benito remembered something else. A concrete pour ordered late at night. No listed construction forms. And Dr. Gama telling them, quote, "It's just foundation work. Don't ask questions." That pour happened 2 days after Marisol disappeared. And now, it was her grave. The International Hunt Authorities issued a warrant for Dr. Lorenzo Gama's arrest. They traced him to Houston, Texas, where he had been living under his real name and working at a private research lab. He was arrested without incident. When questioned, Gama denied everything. "I never met the girl. I don't know who she is." But forensic evidence told another story. Hair fibers found in the locker matched his DNA. He was charged with kidnapping, unlawful confinement, homicide. The motive, still unknown unto this day. Gama has never explained why he lured Marisol that day. There was no history of mental illness, no evidence of prior crimes, no clear sexual motive. Some theorized a failed experiment, a violent impulse, or something darker involving others. But one thing was certain: he had access power, and no one ever suspected him. Until Marisol's own words, preserved in a ruined notebook, told the truth. The university's response. When news broke, the University of Puebla de Oriente faced immediate outrage. Parents, alumni, activists, they demanded answers. The administration claimed ignorance, said Gama had passed background checks. That security was limited at the time. They issued a formal apology to the Reyes family and established a scholarship in Marisol's name. But for many, it was too little too late. The question still echoed. How did no one know? The trial begins. In February 2008, Dr. Lorenzo Gama stood trial in Puebla for the murder of Marisol Reyes. The courtroom was tense, packed with journalists, students, and grieving parents. Marisol's parents sat in the front row every day. The prosecution presented the timeline. Marisol arrived at the university on May 22, 1994. She was last seen heading toward the courtyard construction zone. Dr. Gama was overseeing that project. She wrote about Dr. L in her notebook. Her badge and DNA were found beneath that same courtyard. And fibers from Dr. Gama's own hair were found in the locker. The defense's strategy. Gama's defense claimed there was no direct evidence placing him with Marisol. The notebook was circumstantial and deteriorated. DNA contamination was possible due to lab errors, and finally Gama had no motive. They painted him as a scapegoat, the victim of a university eager to cover its past sins. But the evidence was too solid, too chilling. A chilling revelation. Midway through the trial, new evidence emerged. An anonymous tip led police to a storage unit Gama had rented in 1994 under a pseudonym. Inside, they found a trunk filled with academic robes, chemistry textbooks, a stack of journals and old ID badges, and a second visitor badge from the same open house in 1994. This one read, Clara Medina, guest, May 22, 1994. But no record of a Clara Medina ever attending that event existed, and no missing person report under that name matched. The court wondered, was Clara real, another victim, or a false ID used by Gama himself? The jury's decision, after 3 weeks of testimony and 17 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty of murder, concealment of a body, and obstruction of justice. Gama was sentenced to 42 years in prison, the maximum allowed under Mexican law at the time. The family's response. Outside the courthouse, Jorge Reyes held his wife's hand and addressed reporters. We lost our daughter. Nothing will bring her back. But now, the world knows what happened. She is not forgotten. Leticia wept not out of relief, but exhaustion. She was so close to her dream, she said, and they buried her with concrete. What happened that day? The full truth may never be known, but investigators believe. Gama offered Marisol a private tour of the lab using his authority and charm. Once inside, something went wrong. An accident or deliberate violence. Rather than seek help, he panicked. He placed her body in the old locker, hid it beneath bricks and soil. Then ordered a late-night concrete pour to hide the evidence forever. It almost worked. Why he stayed silent. In post-trial interviews, psychologists described Gama as a cold rationalizer. He never apologized, never admitted guilt, never showed remorse, but he never denied the evidence either, as if silence was his final control. The other badge. To this day, no one has confirmed who Clara Medina was. Was she a second girl who escaped? A fabricated identity? A distraction? The Reyes family believes it may have been another victim who was never reported missing, and perhaps still lies beneath another concrete floor. The media storm. Marisol's story sparked a national firestorm. Major newspapers across Mexico and Latin America ran front-page headlines. The girl beneath the school justice. After 13 years, University of Silence. Public outcry forced the University of Puebla de Oriente to launch an internal review. They released a statement acknowledging security failures and inadequate responses to reports of student safety in the 1990s. But many believed it was too little too late. A protest broke out just days after the trial ended, with over 2,000 students gathering on campus, holding candles and chanting her name. Marisol Vive, the Scholarship Fund. In an attempt to honor her legacy, a group of former students, many who had attended the open house that same day in 1994, raised funds for a new scholarship, the Marisol Reyes Future Scholars Program. It supports young women from rural areas who wish to pursue STEM fields, especially those from indigenous or marginalized communities. In its first year, it awarded 12 full tuition scholarships. Marisol's dream, though stolen, was now lifting others. The professor speaks out. A former colleague of Dr. Gama, Professor Elena Suarez, came forward with a stunning revelation. In a televised interview, she stated, "I once saw him with a young visitor. She looked nervous. I assumed she was a student, but something felt wrong." She reported that Dr. Gama often insisted on meeting students alone after hours. "I regret not saying something. I still think about that girl." Her words resonated not just with the Reyes family, but with educators and administrators across the country. Policy changes sparked by the case. Within months of the verdict, several universities updated campus security policies. New visitor tracking systems were introduced. Background checks for faculty and staff became more rigorous. Training on reporting suspicious behavior was mandated. The case had done what few could force institutions to confront their darkest blind spots. The Father's Journal. In 2010, Jorge Reyes published a book titled 13 Years Without Her. It chronicled his family's journey through grief and bureaucracy, the dozens of dead-end leads, his own loss of faith, and eventual rediscovery of it. In one entry he writes, "I used to dream that she was alive waiting for me. Now I dream that she is at peace, and I try to find mine." The book became a bestseller in Mexico and was translated into 3 languages. Marisol's room. Her childhood bedroom remains untouched. A shelf of worn textbooks, a photo of her on the morning of the trip wearing a pink blouse, a faded acceptance letter from a prep program in Puebla, dated just weeks before she vanished. Leticia, her mother, says, "We don't keep it as a shrine. We keep it as a reminder of who she was and who she could have been." The construction worker's quiet role, Jose Cabrera, the man who discovered the locker in 2007, avoided the spotlight. He declined interviews, refused payment, asked only that he be allowed to stay anonymous. But the Reyes family credits him with everything. If he had ignored that hollow sound, Jorge said, "we may never have known." The city council quietly honored him with a plaque in 2015, now mounted near the courtyard where Marisol was found. A sister's voice. In 2019, for the 25th anniversary of Marisol's disappearance, her younger sister, Ana Reyes, now a journalist, released a podcast titled The Locker. Over 5 episodes, she detailed her family's journey, uncovered new interviews with classmates, and posed the lingering questions no one wanted to face. Why did it take 13 years to find her? What other secrets still lie buried? And how many girls like Marisol were simply dismissed, erased? Anna's voice shook in the final episode as she read aloud from one of Marisol's last essays, a school assignment titled, "Why I Want to Go to University." Because I want to discover. I want to know. I want to help others understand what they are afraid to ask, what we still don't know. Despite the conviction of Dr. Lorenzo Gama, questions remain. What exactly happened in that courtyard? Did anyone help him cover it up? And who was Clara Medina, the name on the second badge found in his storage unit? Police never found another body. No official report about Clara ever surfaced. But the Reyes family still wonders if someone else was supposed to disappear that day and somehow escaped. A nation changes. The Marisol case reshaped how Mexico viewed student safety. It shifted how authorities handled cold cases, university oversight, and missing persons protocols. Marisol became more than a face on a flyer. She became a symbol of truth hidden beneath prestige, of justice long delayed, of families that refuse to forget. The Memorial Garden. In 2021, a memorial garden was unveiled on the grounds of the University of Puebla de Oriente. At its center, a white stone sculpture of an open notebook. Etched on its pages, Marisol's final journal entry. "I hope he's as nice as Luce said." Beneath it, an inscription. "She came here seeking knowledge. She left us seeking justice. May no one else be lost in silence." A message to the missing. Each year, the Reyes family writes a letter, not just to Marisol, but to the thousands still missing across Latin America. They post them on their foundation's website. Cartas para los que no volvieron. Letters for those who never returned. Some are short, some are poems, some are rage-filled. All of them share the same promise. You are not forgotten. Someone is still looking. If Marisol's story moved you, if it reminded you of someone still missing, if it made you think about how easily lives can be silenced behind brick walls and locked doors. Like, comment, subscribe, so we can keep telling the stories that were almost buried for good. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay compassionate, And never stop asking the questions others are afraid to.